Good morning, traders. It's the 6th of December, and we're seeing quite a roller coaster week this week with dollar volatility. Lots and lots of movement across the board, and with NFP tomorrow, I'm sure there's more to come. So straight into it, we've got Aussie dollar, and obviously we had that big gap up, and price came down to fill it and a lot more. We're now back below the 0.7250 weekly support, as well as the moving averages. But I mean, obviously we are back now at the bottom of this small range, and as I say, back below this support, which is now turned to resistance. So we could continue downside from here. However, we will be monitoring the smaller time frames, because if this week pulls up and actually closes above this level, then we may still see upside in line with a moving average crossover. So if we take a look on the daily time frame, so now you can just see the severity of this downside move and the volatility of this move. The price pretty much hasn't been bullish this week. We did at the start of the week see the bulls attempt to carry momentum to the upside after the gap up. However, after breaking through this daily support zone, price has just melted. We're back below the moving averages on the daily time frame, and now late last night, when price broke through this weekly support level, we've now just melted even lower. So we're now currently trading back around the previous lows, which has also broken this short-term daily uptrend. So we may see price pull back up to tap this support resistance level, to then head down towards 0.7150 daily support. 0.7200 was my initial downside target following the break of 0.7250, which has now been fulfilled. So we'll see what today's candlestick does. As I say, we could well get a retracement back above this level, waiting for that moving average crossover to confirm the downside move. For now, if we get a Fibonacci on here, we can see that we're probably around about the 50% level now, and that 0.7150 does line up very nicely in that refined zone. So onto the 4-hour time frame, you can see price just approaching that 0.7200, where price has been held there on a few different occasions. So obviously earlier in the week we had this, we've pretty much been bearish all week here. Look at this, we broke through the 0.7300, popped back up to retest that, and then we've just melted ever since. So we could well reverse from here, potentially see something like this, melt down to 0.7150. Onto Usdjpy. Bearish on the dollar here. So we've rejected that 114, now trading just at this exponential moving average. So again, it's quite possible that price could reverse here, find support on the moving average. But if we take a look at what's been happening this week, we already attempted to reject that yesterday. Obviously on Tuesday here we had price power through this uptrend, yesterday found a little bit of bullish strength, came back above this 113 daily level. However, we failed to break through the moving averages. Today prices responded to that. Early in the session we looked like we were retracing from this move back above this support. However, price has now pushed back down into this refined fib region, which if I take you down to the 4 hour you'll get a better perspective of. I think this is where I actually drew the fib. From here, A, B, C. We're having some choppy price action now, and here you can see that last H4 candle which rejected that upside move. Obviously, following this we was looking at a potential upside from the rejection of the uptrend, but after breaking through the exponential moving average and the 113 resistance, price failed to break through the simple moving average, and we just melted from there to this 112.60 level, where price formed this tweezer, as you can see, but then rejected the upside move here. Now, as we trade around this 78.6, we are looking for a break below this level to then take price lower towards the 112 weekly support, which, as you'll know, is my overall downside target. If price does hold in this level, we could see further consolidation in this region. Potentially, if we close again back above these this confluence zone here, then we will be looking at further upside, potentially back towards that 113.50 and even 114. But obviously we will need to see further confirmation to accept that. For now, we are looking bearish here with that last H4 candle closure. Usdcad. Now, at the start of the week, I was actually expecting price to reverse from these highs. However, after yesterday's interest rate decision, we've just seen an explosion higher. You can see that prices found support on the exponential moving average along with the 1.3250 as we look towards the 1.3500 major resistance level. So we were ranging within this daily support and daily resistance, that should say. But then the volatility yesterday saw price smash through this resistance level, which is now, that was resistance, is now turned to support. So despite pulling back slightly from my initial target at 1.3400, momentum's carried over into today, and you can see we're pushing higher towards that 1.3500. You can see how nicely the duplication of the range lines up with that level. So I do expect price to fulfill that level quite easily before pulling back. So we are looking at a strong dollar. If you remember back to the start of the week, I said how we could have found, we may be finding support on the exponential moving average, which we have. This weekly candle has pulled back up on the dollar index. As you can see on the daily time frame, we are just resting on that level, still some consolidation, and the 4 hour has pulled back up slightly. So that reflects nicely on Aussie dollar, obviously downside, and Usdcad upside. However, Usdjpy at the moment is being slightly stubborn, looking like we're still trying to push towards the downside. I'll just say on Usdcad as well, we also have the influence of oil, which has now turned downside. We had this head and shoulders formation here on the 4-hour time frame. Moving averages crossed over, and now we're looking to push back towards the $50 per barrel. So falling oil prices means, as we know, Usdcad is back in the sky. Now finally, Gbpusd, still indecisive here, just trading around that 1.2750 weekly resistance level. It's more like support on this time frame. On the daily time frame, we've seen this 3-pin formation as price holds just above that 1.2700 psychological level. However, we are still failing to close above that exponential moving average and that weekly resistance level. Given how price is responding to this psychological level, it does appear as though price is trying to form a bottom here. So you could call this a triple bottom here. We've got the lows in August, then again late October, early November, and then now start of December. So as price attempts to break through this exponential moving average, if we do have a bullish close here, then we could be looking at a moving average crossover and a push above the 1.2845 towards 1.3. If we take a look at a trend line, something that looks a bit like this, which could see price return to that trend line. So normally off the third bounce of the trend line, we would expect price to make new lows. So I was looking down towards the 1.2620 and 1.2500. However, as I say, if we do get a bullish close back above this level and then continue to break the 1.2845, we could be looking at an overall reversal and movement to the upside. But for now, as you'll see on these smaller time frames, while we trade just below the 1.2750, price continues to consolidate and we continue to look bearish. You can see on this time frame that we do have what could be considered an inverse head and shoulders pattern. So we've got the left shoulder just here. This would be the neckline. I'll just use the brush here. So we've got this as the neckline region, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and we could now be coming up to test this neckline, potentially break to head towards the 1.2845 level. That could line up quite nicely, to be honest. If we saw a break of this 1.2750 before a retest, that would see the moving averages cross to the upside, retest, and then push further upside. Now, with the last day of the week tomorrow, NFP, we may be seeing some volatility, which could push the market in one direction or the other. But then following this, we're looking towards Tuesday, which is when Parliament are due to make their decision on whether to approve the Brexit deal or not. That is largely what I'm looking for to bring volatility into the market and confirm further direction. So that could line up potentially with this move. If we saw these moving averages cross towards the upside and then retest the downside. That gives the market plenty of time to do that before the 11th, when we could be seeing an explosion higher. So I hope that all makes sense to you guys, and you can use that in line with your analysis. But remember, NFP tomorrow. Other than that, hope you all have a great weekend. See you next week.